welcome to The Way of the Spiritual Path. My name is Ursula Lentini, and this is Senora Cristal. We are here discussing evolution and the creative process. So I'll explain more about that later. Just to let you know, I do youth ministry with Centers for Spiritual Living, and I am a pranic healer, as well as do wonderful work in the subconscious called internal family systems. This is a show of spirituality and how things are along the path. Talking about the path, Cristal Cano is on the path. She is the path. Senora Cristal has done radio and television for the Spanish community in California and Atlanta for several years. She's really one of the leading edges of spiritual practice in the Spanish community, really, for sure. And sound therapy through the bowls and gongs, which brings us to elevated states and does the healing there. It's a wordless healing, which is absolutely beautiful. And the sound is a vibration, but actually the player of the sound, it's your intention, it's your vibration going through the instruments, vibrating out into the room, the universe, whoever's available for that. I see your beauty, I see your dedication, how hard you work, how diligent you are, your sincerity, your willingness to stand up and serve, and your bravery. Like, you just go out there and you push it. And I think, oh my God, that's enough. And you're like, oh no, watch this. Not even watch this to me, but watch this to you, watch this to the universe. And she'll just like shove out an entire wall that didn't even exist before. And now there's another universe on the other side of that wall. I mean, I watch you go through your evolutionary process, and I'm in awe.
Thank you for the kind words. Sometimes when you're living this type of process, you don't even see yourself like that,
Yeah.
So thank you for giving me a different perspective. But there is no wall, There are no walls. It's just an idea of the wall.
Yeah.
But in reality, is you create whatever you want to create. And I say we co-create.
Co-create.
We co-create. Sure. And but when you think about the wall, then you are blocking yourself of doing the things that you want to do.
I want you to tell a story about what happened recently when your daughter was traveling. So Cristal's daughter is also very much on the path. Can you imagine having a spiritual path mom as a single parent? Like, her world is wide open. So she graduated from college and wanted to travel, go to yoga classes in India. Of course, like, if you're going to go to a yoga class, go to India, right? And in that route, did some other touring. She was stuck in Thailand. She didn't have the right paperwork. No one told her about the stamp or whatever. They took her and put her like in jail, right?
Exactly.
So tell us the story there.
Well, my daughter went to Thailand and she didn't get a visa in advance. So because she thought that, she was going to get a stamp at the arrival. And when she got there, big surprise, she needed to get a visa. So she was stuck in a room. They took it into detention, and she was in a room with a lot of people that were in jail, basically. And so it was a very shocking experience, because she's talking to me and she's saying, she's on the phone, and Mom, they're taking me, they're putting me in a jail, Mom. And I'm in Rome, I'm in Italy, and she's in Thailand. And of course, as a mother, you just want to get the first plane and you want to go there, but at the moment it was impossible. So it was not something that I was going to do at that moment. I said, well, let's remain calm. Let's wait and see, because everything is going to work out in perfect harmony. But she was sending me all these messages. Mom, I'm in a room and I don't know how long I'm going to stay here. And now they want me to buy a ticket, and they don't want me to go back to the US. They want me to go back to India because I flew from India. And I say, hey, relax. Everything is going to be okay. So the texts were coming all the time.
Day and night.
Yes, and I was going crazy. So I sent a message to the Mexican embassy. My daughter is a Mexican citizen. And so I sent a message. It was Friday night in Thailand. Of course, no one is going to see an email on a Friday night. So I have a very good friend that is a Mexican ambassador, and I call him and I tell him, listen, well, the beauty is that I call him on a Friday night and the phone rang only one time, and he get the phone call and says, how are you? I say, listen, this is not a social call.
I need help now.
I need help. This is urgent. So he was able to get in touch with the embassy. The embassy gave her full protection. They were trying to sell a plane ticket for $300. They took advantage of her for buying food. They were getting her money and selling like French fries for $15, $20, things like that. And they were, just doing, how you say that, when they come and they talk to you and they tell you verbal abuse, I think.
Interrogation.
No. To tell her, no, you're going to stay here. You're not going to leave.
Yes.
And no, you don't. And it was one thing after another. So.
And it was getting worse because you were keeping me in touch and we were both doing prayer work and like, okay, holding space for it. But the longer the time that she was in there, the story was it was getting worse and worse and worse. Like she was getting shoved further and further back into the dark hole, and her chances of getting out looked worse and worse. And we were both like, and she's like, okay. I'm like, what's going on now? And she's like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, and she's like, oh.
So I realized that I was getting hooked into this reality.
Yeah, the dark story.
Exactly. And I said, hey, okay, hold on one second. This is not my reality. This is not. And I'm going to change it right now. So I talked to all my pieces. I got into a meditation and I talked to all my pieces. And I say, okay, I forgive you for whatever we created here, but we are going to create a new reality. So, and I realized I saw my daughter being free, happy by the beach. I saw myself next to her by the beach, enjoying the beautiful sunset. And I saw myself, when I was in the meditation, I saw myself in different dimensions. So I realized that I was in different places at the same time. So I talked to myself in all of the dimensions, and I say, I need your power. Whatever is happening right now, we're going to change it. We're going to shift the energy. So I say, in every level that I exist, I'm using this energy. So we're going to shift the situation. I finished my meditation and the phone rang. And my daughter said, they're letting me go. They're putting me in a plane to go back to India. So the next day I took a plane and I went to India, and we were in Goa enjoying the most beautiful sunsets, like the new reality that I created. So it was
on the beach.
On the beach, yeah. By the beach.
Yeah.
We were just laying down by the beach, be grateful because I was able to create a new reality, and then we all create a different reality. So it was beautiful.
Look, I got goosebumps on my whole arm. So that's amazing, because people live in crisis, people live in fear, we're always like this, and you're evolved. In my opinion, you're evolved. So for you to be able to say, hey, we can shift from a dangerous situation, with your lifeline, with your child, grown or not, she's still your child, in danger, crazy stuff goes on. So, could have gotten worse easily.
Oh, yes.
But you yanked her out of that because you yanked her out of your reality. It's almost like living in the Matrix.
Exactly.
We can switch out, like elevator, go on another elevator floor and say, okay, this is my new reality.
We exist in different floors.
Oh, for sure.
We exist in different floors.
Yeah.
I totally believe that we do. And we have to realize that we do. So we can go from one dimension to another and get the strength and the energy and the best of each part of us in the different dimensions, so we can create different things.
Exactly.
And so if I'm conscious right now, or I think that I'm conscious in this dimension, I'm going to use my power. I'm going to use it to create something different and to create it to evolve. Because at the end, we're here to evolve,
That's
to
right.
learn,
That's right.
to play, to
That's
learn,
right.
to have fun.
Right.
And we get hooked into the negativity, and that's what the problem begins.
And that's what the story is. That's what I think our job here is, to unhook letting go. Is like, if you want to abbreviate the spiritual path, you can say letting go.
Completely.
Letting go of ego, letting go of ideas, letting go of misconceptions, letting go of identities, letting go
Labels.
of judgment, labels, fear, right? Because you let go of fear because you're like, oh, wait a minute, look what's on my neck. Oh no. And we take the fear off and we're like, no, I'm not buying into that frequency, that relationship, that idea, that reality, and choosing a different one. And I think people who are already on their spiritual path, who are already lined up, who are already the weirdos, who are already gifted, right? Clairvoyant, clairaudient, have dimensions. When I was a kid, I was aware that I was on different planes, and I thought that was normal, and I thought everybody was like that. So as a child, I would be sharing ideas that I would grab from another dimension, and people would be looking at me like, you're not okay, that's not right, we don't know what you're saying. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, of course. And they're like, no. And my dad used to always slam me around, you're not making sense, think before you open your mouth, la, la, la. So I was made to shut down those levels of awareness and consciousness in an exterior world. Of course, they were mine because I already lived there. But when we have access to different levels of consciousness or planes of existence or just power, just to say, okay, here's my power zone, I have a place where I can go to get answers. So I'll just ask the universe, why would somebody behave like that? Not out of judgment, but out of wanting to understand. To see, where's that person coming from?
Yeah, exactly. What is triggering that action,
Right. So I can go, what's that person? And then go up and I'll hear an answer. And it's like, oh, because of this, and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. And I think what happens is when we can get into the calm place, into the meditative place, and even meditation on a physical realm, when we rest, the doctors say go home. They give you pills. Okay, fine, that's their job. And they say go home and rest. When we're resting, we are in a place of healing. That's, I think, why we sleep. One version of why we sleep. But when we're in meditation, we're in even a deeper state and more healing happens. So if you see the meditation, we hang out with some very beautiful people. And I think their beauty comes from that shiny-eyed, restful place. If we're not stressed out, if we're not anxious, we're not wearing our stress all over us and in conditions and physical ailments and so on. When we're in our evolutionary state of awareness, of calmness, of peace, of acceptance,
in silence. It's basically, I think it's being in silence, because the mind played tricks. You start creating this drama and this movie in your head, and you make the things bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's when you're giving more power to the negativity, right, and to the obstacles to come. So when you just get in that peaceful state, and of silence, then you can observe the whole perspective and the whole situation, and you say, hey,
it's not real.
It's not real.
Yeah. Or I'm creating it.
Basically, we are creating it.
Definitely.
So, but some people are afraid to see, that's why you were talking about you as a child and your father trying to stop you, because they're afraid. They don't know how to handle those things, even with people, for example, clairvoyants, and you start talking to them in front of people who doesn't believe, they think you're crazy. They think you're cuckoo, because their idea of life is completely different.
Yeah, because their perception. And I think a lot of people in mental wards have spiritual gifts, but they've been cracked because maybe some bad things have happened. So they're living in different dimensions and different realities, but people can't get in there and help them live on the conscious level and the subconscious level, or the ultimate, levels of awareness.
You know that I know this lady for a long time. She was a homeless, Juanita. And Juanita had a mental illness, how the doctors will call. And to me, she was enlightened. She was a master. Juanita lived free. She was homeless, but she always had food. She ate every day. She sent money to her daughter in Honduras all the time because she was a beggar. People gave her money. She traveled the entire states. She was from one place to another on the bus. And she went to churches. People helped her. The universe was always manifesting because she never thought that she couldn't do it. When I talked to her on the phone, she says, I say, Juanita, how are you? She says, good, but I want to go to Chicago today. And I say, okay, perfect. I like that. And how are you going to do it? He says, oh, I don't know, but I'm going. And I was like, great, she was my teacher. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is the way I wanted to live. And she went to a church or she found a person on the street and they gave her the money and she was traveling. Even till her last day, she was at the hospital, not paying a dime. She got all the help she needed in her process to leave this dimension. So I was in awe. People thought that she was crazy, but to me, she was my teacher. I learned so much about life, mm-hmm. about detachment, mm-hmm. about creating, about evolving. Mm-hmm. It was fascinating to me.
And people on the path, it seems like the higher I go, the more loose things become. I know several people who don't really have a home. No, you have a home.
I don't. I don't. I don't. I closed my house in January.
Sold everything. She closed her house. She's like, I'm out of here. America, I'll see you later. And,
no home.
And you're living in Italy, but you're living with people who love you and they don't care. They're sharing their home. So, yes. you have a home. Listen, we're at home wherever we are. And exactly. You travel the world.
But it is the idea of having a home because we are conditioned to have or buy a house or rent a house or buy a car or the clothes that we wear. Mm-hmm. We've been told how to live our lives. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be free of all that kind of idea. Mm-hmm. But always maintaining a balance, right. Because it's all about that.
All about balance. Yep, it is. It is all about balance. But as we're moving through the evolutionary process and getting to higher levels of awareness, less human instincts grabbing us, right? So if we can master basically our emotions by being with them, not denying them, but saying, oh look, I'm having this experience of anxiety right now. Oh, how interesting is this? We go through the anxiety as the observer, as the anxious part, as the loving part, as the healing part, and the anxiety just kind of fithers away. And it's circumstantial, so we just keep moving and keep moving. One of my favorite images of the evolutionary process is stepping out, and there's no step below there. It's just the abyss, and here you are. You've got to put your foot out there, and the stone will appear. But we have to move into it.
But that's the idea.
Always courageous.
That you're going to put a foot, and the stone is going to appear. Put some wings and fly.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in boxes. That's the problem that we have, that we believe that the boxes even exist.
Right. So we were talking about mass consciousness is a box. And then the spiritual people were like, oh no, I'm not buying into the program. I'm going to live outside of the box. So now we're in another box outside of the box, but the box is still our reference. So then when we take the spiritual box as the observer saying, okay, stepping stone, no wings, now we have to live outside of our own box of our consciousness based on the big box. Now we're outside of the spiritual box, and now there's less boxes. I think the higher,
there are no boxes.
Right, the higher version I go, even the bottom of the box is fiddling away, because the consciousness, if we think about the universe, there's no edges.
It's infinite.
even the cell, there's little pieces and parts and jobs, but the majority of the cell is just energy, pure energy. So when we can go to places like you did and say, this is not my reality, I'm changing it, and I think it's trust too. Trusting that there's something way greater than I.
And believing. More than trusting is believing. Is if you seriously believe that you have the power of doing something. Because when you start questioning yourself,
doubt.
Yes. Ugh. Then you won't accomplish anything.
Right.
And you're setting the limits.
Yeah.
So if you really want to be limitless, stop questioning how things are going to get done. Mm-hmm. Just go ahead and do it. I was filming yesterday with a friend of mine, and I used a word in Spanish that is aviéntate, like throw yourself into the situation. Don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. Just go for it. Mm-hmm. Once you set the motion and you put the energy to work, everything will work in perfect order.
Newton's law. It's even on the physical realm, but taking that law into the spiritual realm, setting something in motion, it'll stay in motion. So all we have to do is have the courage to get rid of some of our ego-based, fear-based, human-based, animal-based stuff and say, okay, that's nice, and I've got it down. It's a mastery. It's a mastery of awareness. And it's the creative process, really. And that, I think, is the evolutionary. Because when we can go beyond the dark and white comparison and go say, okay, there is no darkness, there is no light, it's all just energy, and it's how we perceive it, and the darkness is there as much as the light is there, and they're both okay because they both exist.
They coexist.
Right.
I mean, they cannot be divided.
Yeah.
It's just a concept, an idea, you're good, you're bad, because we grew up with that idea. Yeah. This is a good girl, this is a bad girl. We are so used to it.
Programming.
Yes. And we don't question those things. Those are the things that we have to question.
Right.
Those are the things that you really have to question. Did you buy this suit or this dress because you really wanted it? Or because they told you that that's the fashion and that, the color for the season? And do you drive the car because that's the car that you wanted? Or because they told you that that's the new car and you're going to look good on it? How are you living your life?
Mm-hmm. Where are we making our choices from?
Exactly. Are they really your choices? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at the end, you can go through all those things, but it's about living in the happy medium. Okay, I'm aware that they told me that this is the new fashion, but I like it and it looks good on me and I'm happy with it. So
that's it.
That's it.
Exactly. So beyond the black and the white, there's still plenty more. Because we're born into the, here's the light, here's the darkness. But the realm, there's not even a line. There's just so many dimensions and possibilities beyond. Even our movies these days are going way beyond our sense of reality, our sense of the physical. So for me, my current evolution it's in the creativity. As I push my limits and say, okay, if I've got this down, I can understand this, I'm free of that. Right, what's my next challenge? It's the creative process. What can I create now? Like you created a different reality with your daughter. You're creating a new reality by moving to Rome. We're continually creating new realities. So that's the fun of it. And I always talk about the adventure life was meant to be. That's what I believe living the spiritual path is all about.
I think it's all about being at peace with yourself. Mm-hmm. Whatever decision you make, do you feel at peace with yourself? Are you at peace with the life that you're living? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we are thinking about being happy, but I say happiness is overrated. Overrated. Yeah. And you create, and you can live in a state of joy, mm-hmm. But you can go everywhere on the spectrum, mm-hmm. But at the end, being at peace is the most important thing. And accepting yourself and loving yourself with all the colors of the rainbow within you.
Yes.
And the black, the white as well. Mm-hmm. And knowing that they're not divided.
Yeah. And that life is going to, throw us curveballs and do all kinds of fun things to us. But also beyond peace, where I'm at right these days, because I got lots of peace. And I will use my peace. I will protect my peace. I will make choices from my peace. But these days, I'm looking at creativity. So the peace is almost like the energy field. And what can I do? What's the action step? Because I can sit at home and meditate all day long and be really at peaceful, in a state of peace. But how am I participating? How am I contributing? And if the evolution is happening and I'm a part of the evolution, then I want to move into creativity, move into action, and continue to expand and explore and share and celebrate, just like last night.
Exactly. But I think being at peace, it gives you the opportunity of all the beauty within you to flow.
Yeah.
To express. So it's something that you don't even have to make a big deal out of
No.
it. It will come by itself.
Right.
Because when you're at peace, the divine is flowing through you. So the expression of the divine will create.
Yeah.
It will create magical things,
Yeah.
beautiful things,
Yeah.
miracles, wherever
Yes,
you go.
for sure.
You're going to see the miracles because you don't have those ideas that are blocking you from seeing the beauty everywhere, in everything.
I think it's also purification, right? So through purification, we get the peace, and through peace, we get the creative flow,
Exactly.
and gives birth to many, many new and exciting, wonderful things. When they have the movie The Secret, like that was the big deal when it came out, like, oh, The Secret. And I was watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're leaving out the part where you have to work your butt off, for the purification. They were just talking about this moment here that we're talking about. And
Well,
they didn't explain that you have to chop wood, carry water, that you have to monitor your thoughts, that you have to do the forgiveness work, that you have to make amends, that you have to actually get off of your butt and start working and moving through the process in order to get to this place.
Because that was metaphysics 101.
Right.
And it was more oriented to get financially and, the things that you want to attract the work. It was more into the exterior world. We're talking about the spirituality, and the spirituality goes within.
Yes.
If you really want to live in a spiritual path and you want to evolve, you have to stop looking outside.
For sure.
And you have to look within.
Yeah.
And do the work within, and you will be in correlation and in harmony with the exterior.
Right. And I think when we do the work within, we're through that purification process. And then we can be receptive to create, to manifest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all together.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing, You have to do the work, and it's going to take different steps. It's not going to be easy.
Nope.
It requires discipline. It requires self-awareness. It requires loving compassion.
Humility.
That's the one of the big ones. It really requires to love yourself, love
Everything and
everything.
everybody. The
Yes.
good, the bad, and the ugly.
completely. It's all about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for being here, Cristal.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for calling me out. Thank you for celebrating with me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for reflecting the divine within you, within me.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. I love you.
I love you. So, namaste, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this exploratory conversation about evolution and the creative process on the way of the spiritual path at the Lighter Side Network. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us.